So the jury trials are already an essential part of fair trial rights. So the right to a fair trial means that if we are charged with a criminal offense, or if a public body is making decisions that impact our right, this has to be fair. So a fair hearing is what has to be fair. You must get the opportunity to be heard. Once you get the opportunity to be heard, you can't go wrong in a life. So let's look at this now. I always on Context Matters talk about Socrates. So Socrates, when he made his final address to the jury before being led off to prison, he warns those that sentencing him, they will hereafter be blamed for putting a wise man to death. So even in days of the philosophers in Athens, that people were being wrongfully convicted. And they said if only they had a little patience, he suggests he would have died without the help. After all, he's already an old man of 70. So sometimes you see them all, when the people them are 70, them are prosecute them and send them to prison for make them live out the little bit of the rest of them days. No compassion, no humanity. So anyway, in his case, following the arguments, the herald of the court called on the jurors to consider their decision. So in Athens, jurors did not retire to a jury room to deliberate. They made their decisions without discussing among themselves and based in large part on their own interpretations of the law. So the 500 jurors voted on his guilt or innocence by dropping bronze ballot disc of the sort pictured above into mark urns. So y'all can't see it, but just visualize it like Plato's cave. I've given you all the concept of that. Very descriptive. So only a majority vote was necessary for conviction. Why am I speaking about this? Well, the 4 men we are talking about were convicted by majority verdict. So just listen to this now. 4 jurors were assigned the task of counting votes. In the case of Socrates, the jury found Socrates guilty on a relatively close vote of 280 to 220. So interestingly, if less than 100 jurors voted for guilt, the accusers had to pay a fine to cover trial costs. If a defendant is convicted, the trial enters a second phase to set punishment. The prosecution and defendant each propose a punishment, and the jury chooses between the 2 punishment options presented to it. The range of possible punishment included death, imprisonment, loss of civil rights, i.e. the right to vote, the right to serve as a juror, and the right to speak in the assembly. So you see, when you are convicted, you lose the right to serve as a juror. So imagine you pervert the courts of justice and then you want to remain as a juror. The minute you pervert the courts of justice or attempt, you commit a criminal offense and you should be removed. It's not rocket science. But the reason the judge didn't remove the man is because if he moves the man, he has to discharge the entire jury. So he's placed between a rock and a hard place, and his decision, I don't think persons can say that that decision would have been one in contemplation of fair trial rights. That is the argument that is put there. So naturally, Socrates, he was sentenced to death. He chose death, and he died by drinking hemlock. Because who wants to live in a world where people just don't have no respect for human rights? But the difference in the modern time is the people, you have to stay alive and fight for your freedoms and your rights, because there are many before us: Marcus Garvey, Paul Bogle, Sam Sharp. Some of them died, and they had to fight for our freedoms, for us to now be doing that to our brothers and sisters and being unfair to them. So Lord Camden quoted in Rosemary Bell Antoine's Commonwealth, Caribbean Law and Legal Systems that trial by jury is indeed the foundation of our free constitution. When you take that away, the whole fabric will soon mold into dust. You hear that? It is indeed the foundation of our free constitution, and when you take it away, the whole fabric of the justice system molder into dust. So in recent times, the jury system has come under a lot of criticism, and certainly for this one, it will be, however, argued that for all the drawbacks, there are stronger advantages supporting the retention of the jury system and a lack of adequate alternative, and shows that a common law community, we are not quite ready to abolish the jury system. So there was a whole talk by a famous journalist that if this case wins, Jamaica will abolish the jury system. I don't think so. I think legislators simply have to legislate that if you tamper with the jury or there is jury tampering, the trial continues with judge alone. That's what happens in England. So it preserves the jury system, and if you really want to be tried by a jury of your peers, you won't tamper with the system. So according to the Ministry of Justice of Jamaica, persons accused of certain crime acts are judged by a jury of their peers, a practice inherited from the British jurisprudence. A jury is a group of people drawn from civil society and who bring their common sense, experience, and wisdom to the matter of determining the guilt or innocence of a fellow citizen. This is done because of the belief that these jurors understand the nuances and idiosyncrasies of their society and bring their collective experience to bear on a trial. The trial by jury ensures that the citizens of a state are accountable to each other for decisions made rather than to a government-appointed judge. So in other words, the basis for a jury is that it is a representative cross-section of the local community and therefore is more likely to judge in line with generally accepted values of the society. So jurors represent diverse backgrounds and therefore individual prejudices are likely to be neutralized. So justification for trial by jury is naturally what you would have heard just now. So what are the criticisms? Well, the first kink in the system is the selection process. With a wide list of exemptions, this results in a narrow pool of eligible persons who can be selected to sit on the panel. Most public officials, lawyers, and persons who provide essential services such as doctors and soldiers are exempted from jury service. This has an impact on the composition of the jury and raises the question whether the jury represents the defendant's peers and attains a true representation of society. So jury qualifications result in both gender and class inequality, with results in a composition which seldom represents the defendant. So you can imagine being an artist, you can imagine being a successful, and then the people who are going to come and sit on your jury, your guys and the whole gully and the whole I don't really know nothing other than Gaza and gully. Where the other people them name? Somebody help me out. Oh, you missed that interview already. There was one already, you know. You will see the update. Check it out when it happened. Vendetta, yeah, those vendetta people, and yeah, and whatever those other people are, and you can imagine they come on the jury and say, this is the opportunity for me to do good for my vendetta people and the crux people, and the general side people, and the 66 1XXX people, yeah, and the Psalms 91 people too, yeah. All of those people, yeah. Can you imagine? And they want to eliminate the competition. So could they ever really be a part of your peers if they're biased and they don't indicate that to the jury? So they always talk about the unrepresentative composition of the jury is further compounded by the small multicultural societies found in the Caribbean. So another concern is inconsistencies between verdicts given and the evidence presented in court. So let's talk about that. You don't know, you can't even use a cell phone, but you bring back evidence, you bring back technological evidence in less than, you're ready to find people guilty in less than 2 hours after a 65-day trial. Some people don't even work 65 days in their life, and then can come and talk, them are going to take information. I'm criticizing, you know, so this is the criticism. So context matters. Anyway, what I'm drawing your attention to is after 65 days of trial, you get a bunch of, and here I'm going to take this part and say, Isat is so disrespectful. Uneducated people, put them in a room and expect them, and uneducated in the sense that they are not forensic experts. Their competence level in terms of technological information is a little bit superior, and so they need a lot more instructions to understand that what they're supposed to do. Compound that with a situation where there is bribery. There's a situation where they know that they will go to prison when they vote. To put it in time a different way, pressure under them, fire under them, mus tail, and then think a cool breeze. And the result is, if you stay true to what you're supposed to do, you'll go to prison. And evidence of that is one of the man get found guilty and them send the man go to prison. Who's gonna put themselves through that? Think on these things. So anyway, given that, there's a whole lot of conversation that it leads to the jury disregarding the rules of law and coming up with inaccurate verdicts. An example where the jury considered both facts and law, though erroneously left to them, can be seen in the case of Sukram, 1971, where they had to determine whether the issue of self-defense rose on the facts. A task the court held was for the judge and not the jury. So sometimes there are tasks held for the judge and not the jury, but that's not the complaints everyone, except for when things are complicated, your peers is not necessarily the best person to assist or help you. I have to be very mindful of that and care about that. Hold on. Nicole, so why was the evidence seen bulldozer down? I glad that was raised today, but the scene was in police custody when that happened. So the best person to ask is the police. What's the next question? And these are the critiques, or these are the things that's happening that you expect the things was raised that there was an order in the house, but the dog did dead, and that was said it. They said that there was blood, that those things not true. So we have to be careful in terms of the reality of what's in the space and what is not. But I'm not here to try no case because I wasn't the trial attorney. Big up yourself, Mr. Tom Tavares, KFC. Mr. Vincent, KFC boss. So the perceived ignorance and incompetence of the jury is another cause for concern. In Nanan and the State, 1986, the foreman instructed the jury that a majority verdict was needed when, in fact, it should have been unanimous, as he did not know the meaning of the word unanimous. Literacy and low level of education can have a negative impact on the process of trial by jury. I'm reading from a book, so if anybody think I'm disrespecting, I'm showing you what the critique is. Can you imagine somebody come and say, yeah, we have to get a majority verdict. That's how we do it. Because you see, in my constituency, when we have vote all the people them, and the majority of them we use, and we have to be majority on this when he's trying to say unanimous. Think on those things. Jury may place too much emphasis on their feelings. Yeah. Feelings, nothing more than my feelings. And it allowed their decisions to be affected by sympathies for the defendant or the victim instead of making their decisions on the evidence alone. According to Antoine, this leads to an unfair lack of uniformity in decisions and to an unpredictability in the law, since jury law will change from case to case and from jury to jury. So it is unlike the certainty of a judicial precedent which followed on points of legal principle. So jurors may also be affected by prejudice and bias. And it is believed that juries are greatly influenced by the appearance, class, and manner of defendants and witnesses. For example, the negative view of Rastafarians. Jurors may be willing to let their prejudices make up their minds before the trial even begin. And trust me, it's not just jurors. I can tell you, I went in front of some people and just my Rasta alone made them say, yo, I'm the worst.
Draw down the hat pan him head.
With 2 years, eh? So the jurors' engagement during the trial, which may be affected by boredom or willingness to be present, is also a cause of concern. So it is quite possible for decisions to be rushed because jurors want to go home. These things sound familiar? Think on these things. Yes, yes, BCA. Yes, Lotto. Big up the rat. Yeah, Demon. What kind of name that? Sunshine. Rochelle. Yeah, you're following me. Big up my TikTok people. Why the police officer bring home the accused phone? So them days they phone did hard for buy, and Blackberry and them things there. When you have your little Nokia banger, you want to play with a Blackberry and them things there. So you take home the phone and you go to KFC and you buy a 6-piece and you say, hey my girl, may I come check you? May I bring some KFC for you? And then you yeah, you know, you give me the ungle mengle. Yeah. So in the smaller jurisdictions within the Commonwealth Caribbean, the general problems with jury trials are often exacerbated. So local knowledge of the defendant and or the crime can lead to impartiality, and this is magnified by ease of access to new reports and even further magnified by the technological advances of the modern era. So this begs the question of how well the jury system can work in the 21st century now that the internet makes it impossible to research a defendant's or witness history. How can you ask for a retrial given the mass publicity for years with the most popular human being in the criminal justice system at the moment? You just let me know that. So it has been said that the jury system lacks transparency as the members cannot be held accountable for their decisions as they are not required to give reasons, as in the case of judicial judgments. If the members of the jury were to behave in a perverse or improper manner, it would never be known. It may be suggested that the only way to achieve transparency in the system is for trials to be determined by a single judge or 3 judges. So these are the criticisms. And when you hear the criticisms and you see what is being discussed about the jury room, and to say, after you're talking about all the cultural dynamics, it's easy, you know, all you have to try this. It's easy to get on a bus and just say somebody arms stink. Everybody are gonna move from them, and all of a sudden everybody smell it. All if one of them. Go as far as pass gas from the bus and blame somebody in the front, and everybody are gonna skin up them face and say they're nasty, and they don't investigate. They just believe. So everybody can just tell people. So you just can tell lie on somebody. Just try this. Go to Portmore and let off your friend a back road and say, may I go to KFC and come back, come pick you up. And somebody just want to see you, let off. Somebody just want to see you at back road, and argument done. Then somebody say, yeah, so and so hanging out at back road, and it done. You can't resuscitate your character so easily because people is gonna say that them see you doing there, and they make assumptions when things aren't so. And so that is the crux of it, that you have to, if you're dealing with fair trial rights and you're protecting. Remember, you know, what's the balance? You people to say the cost of a trial. Are you a can go a trial? You know, the cost of a trial on the state is more important than the life and liberty of somebody. Is a very horrible place to that's not a gamble, and the Constitution doesn't contemplate that. And when the Constitution made that public interest was to make sure that you're protected from that. So when I'm speaking to you all now, and I'm trying to make sure that my audience understands what we're faced with, understands what we're dealing with. Give me 1 second. Once we understand this to be the reality, you see how different instantly what we're faced with comes into the forefront. So the disadvantages can be countered by many advantages, some of which highlight the flaws in the criticism. So the most favorable advantage of trial by jury is the fact that the jury's verdict is the expression of the community's conscience. And so if that is tainted by a poison, But remember, conscience is a moral thing, because it's simple this. If you're not guilty, why you need to bribe them? Because that's a government. If you're a helper, you're gonna say, want come bribe me. Like, I know me go to church every week. If you need, my boss not pay me no extra money, you know. The only time I get extra money is when me catch him a halfway tree, I drop off a human, me start get extra money if you not tell the missus. So this young man, you know, I can't talk about him and give me money for Lego man. The man name most guilty. Take me a idiot, me a sense. So you see, all me now, me I got vote guilty upon them, but him a sing about ramping shop. And I then think they, I saw me get me first, baby. That's the kind of conversation, the simplicity of the conversations. And so the helper on the jury now say, me I got take me moral high road coming. Now I'm getting at them his scheme is him come he's a 7-day Adventist. Me now backslide. And me show my partner. Yeah, this is I'm giving you the cultural dynamics, because the thing, let me tell you something about a jury. Put me upon a jury and make my spirit not take you. Now me all it means a lawyer, make my spirit not take you. If my spirit not take you, you go to prison. And if me ever walk in at the courtroom and me feel like say the defense lawyer attack too strong, me just I go find the client guilty. And if me go in there and the prosecutor ugly, the client now go guilty. And if it and these are biases, and you're not required. You can't even question it. And so to deal with the taint is a problem. Listen up, context matters. May I have to make sure I bring home the point too, you know. Because some people will just get up and say, you know, say, me I come at work this morning, and when me go to buy the coffee, Starbucks lock. And so me make a coffee myself. And I saw me know say, I then commit the crime. And me not gonna tell you about something, me I hold me harder. Yeah, that is what we have to understand. So we have cultural biases that to ask the apex court to take into consideration. And today, I learned something profound from Lord Burroughs today, when he asked the learned counsel representing the DPP if the poison was in England, where white people are being prosecuted, if that poison ought to stay on the jury. And he laughed and he said, no, we would get rid of that poison. The thing about it is that the English law is so ahead of the Jamaican law that they would have already corrected it to ensure that judge alone. So the answer is to say we lost a trial because our legislators failed to put into place a position. I remember this trial took place in 2013 or something like that, or whenever. And what is so important about that? Yeah, what is important about that? And I wanted to appreciate this is the legislators haven't corrected it. And so we're the thinkers, the movers, and the shakers. We know they can correct legislation. Me can tell you this. Them can just come tomorrow and say, we're going to legislate and do this. And it happens, especially when they have a supermajority. And I urge them to do that. They can do it right now. Just take up the English Act, look at the Act, change it. And we in law. When they want to increase mandatory minimum, so people could have go prison for more time for possession of firearms, they just did it. When they wanted to keep the learned DPP, they did it. They do what they want to do. So a simple solution is to say, yeah, we're upholding the constitutional rights of the men. And if the legislators wish, they can do that. Simple answer. Not give us another try. One more try is all I need. I say, well, so them go out and do the driving test and fail. Them need one more try. Or you take a common entrance and fail. One more try. Yeah. Can you imagine you're born and you come out and you realize your mother and father ugly and then poor, you say, one more try, God, maybe go back up in our mother. Anyway, let's stop. The concept of the one more try is just, anyway. So, I just putting that out there. So, I'm speaking to my people. I'm speaking to my Caribbean people. I'm speaking to, it's who calling me I Stop. It's I Start. But I Stop. Keisha, as my moderator, it must be nice. Is one to laugh it. Yeah. Oh, see that right. So I'm going to upgrade from the Will Smith box and say the idea of a retrial deserve a Rita Marley box. And if you don't know what that means, big up yourself, Rita Marley, because I tell you, say that swing there. Bob didn't really get the box there. Rita, you're large. Yeah, but you one more try. Rita Bali box. Anyway, so I'm not here to answer the questions, but the answers are there from Zimbabwe to England to many other jury systems that if we don't get the joke, it's because they don't watch the Bob Marley movie. I mean, I tell you cannot be in the Caribbean and don't support that movie. Forget what the critics say. Okay, yeah, it is a story and we must celebrate. We must celebrate.
Yes, so straight talk. He's basically saying that there is no way it should go to a retrial. That's why he said not one more try, right?
Yeah. Because it's not a matter of the fact that the jury was being bribed. You see, if the jury alone was a bribe, then I think a retrial would have been sufficient. But because there was mismanagement of evidence, then because there was mismanagement of evidence, then the evidence is now tainted. So we don't even know the validity or of those let's say the cell phone because the policeman carried home and this and that and all that kind of stuff.
Why? It's sad. How can you have evidence?
Lack of custody.
Like something as personal as a cell phone.
Because people long eye, as he said, and which I believe, them time there, BlackBerry expensive, right? And you just have a little phone where you have to press three times to get the actual letter where you want. And you see a BlackBerry, right? And you say, I can't go play with it and then maybe tomorrow I bring it in, yeah, man. I try it out and still it work. Right? And that's a lack of care and custody for any type of evidence. Boy, so the evidence is tampered with.
It's really slack, and it took Kartel to get this thing exposed. I mean, people already know, but now you can actually point to stuff.
Yeah.
You can point to stuff because from I was a youth, police used to brutalize ghetto youths.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And nothing came out of it. Nothing. They did it with impunity.
Mm-hmm.
And now everything is being exposed. The whole justice system needs to be overhauled. And I think the Minister of Justice should resign. You see, Jamaican people, they are ridiculous. This Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, the guy wear a shoes, a Clarks, and everybody is, yeah. These people are so shallow.
Yeah, and who was the one that bring up this? But hold on, stick a pin. Who was the one that bring up the whole Clarks business? The Vybz Kartel. You see? Vybz Kartel sang about the Clarks, and this Prime Minister, him jump on it, and I don't know, The people are easily brainwashed still.
The Prime Minister is stooping to the lowest level of Jamaica's society. He is manipulating the people of Jamaica. That's all he's doing. Even the other day, he's talking about every ghetto youth is a star. This man have the metropolitan people, them taking away people's goods. They're trying to hustle. This man have music turning off at a certain time. People can't sell them soup. People can't sell them peanut. People can't sell them Wrigley's. People can't sell them icy mint. People can't sell them jerk chicken. They are shutting off all these parties like, what is this? It's early time, and yet still he's saying every ghetto youth is a star, and he's not allowing them any business opportunity. And Jamaican people should wise up and know that their vote should count. People in Jamaica, you should know your vote should count. If a politician is not performing, he should go. Just the same, if you are working at a place and you are not performing,
they will let you go.
This man is taking advantage of Jamaica, and he is not for poor people. This man is not for poor people. And every election, these people come around, give a little money, this, that, and get votes, and people don't see them again until the next election, and no one is wising up. I thought that this whole thing would have been gone in my parents' generation, and it's still here. And people have a lot more education now than back then in the 80s and the 70s.
And access to education is easier. Access to information.
And they are doing the same thing. They are so exposed. They can see what's going on in Canada, in England, in Germany, in France. Look at all those protests in France. Look at the farmers, what they are doing with the manure and all these things, because these politicians, they have to be held accountable. And you, the citizens of Jamaica, you are their boss. You're not your boss. You are their boss. They work for you, and you guys should hold them accountable. This man wearing a Clarks, it is a shoes. Imagine our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wear a Clarks or any shoes, Gucci, Prada, any shoes. He would have to resign to show people that, oh, I'm wearing a Gucci. He would have to go. His own party would tell him that, listen, sir, Mr. Prime Minister, we are going to accept your resignation. And he would have to go. Those type of things don't fly in first world country. And again, it shows Jamaica to be a third world country. And everything that you guys do is all talk. We don't deal with talk. And this Prime Minister is talking, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And there is nothing, no evidence of what he is doing. It's all talk. And people of Jamaica, you guys should wise up and know that these guys work for you. And don't listen to their talk. You want to see action, not a bag of mouth. Action.